Oh, then I could plug in that HDMI. Hey, what's up?
The Willy Wonka, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
This is like a chocolate factory.
Do either of you listen to Primus,
Yeah.
the band?
Uh-huh.
They came out with the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory album,
What, really?
and it's insane. It's so nuts.
It's just covered of like.
Kind of covers, but they like totally go off the wall with it.
That's
Yeah,
gonna be
Primus.
my,
It's pretty entertaining. It's kind of creepy. Like they make it super creepy.
I'm gonna add it. Yeah, I'm gonna add it to mine. Is it on Spotify?
Yeah, it is.
It's not showing up on
I'm
YouTube.
adding that.
Isn't it? Let's see, where am I?
Primus and the Chocolate Factory.
Is that what it's called?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Wow.
Nice.
Go.
Yep.
Okay, it's showing up there. I'll just not my phone.
Downloading it right now.
Let's.
This is not the right window.
Hello, Wonkais.
You need to take that slide out.
This isn't the right slideshow. Look at that.
That's too fun.
So let's see.
That must be the one.
Coinbase had their IPO today.
Who did?
Coinbase,
Oh, yeah, that worked out for him.
they opened at $381 a share. Now they're at $425 per share. They released 263.1 million shares of common stock.
Today they did?
Yeah, today. They had a hard time convincing investment firms that they were worth $100 billion, but after they went public today, they're valued at publicly $105 billion.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For that. All right, what's the time? Almost. Is it working, Monique?
Well, I can't get it to come up on my phone.
Okay.
Because I got it to come up on the YouTube on here, so I don't know.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find out.
Okay, it works.
Is there anyone online yet?
No, and that's why I'm kind of worried because
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how to do this. It's like every time we do this, it's our first try. I don't know what to do.
it's just showing that. But if I go here to this email. and
Is that
follow
because
this
it's
link,
is it a
then it shows up.
private URL or something?
No, I'm just using the same link.
Oh, you
It's just
are.
not showing up on my phone.
Is it a private
So it's working, it's just not working on my phone. Because I followed the same link. So you guys can try it on your phone. If you want, but it's not working on my phone for whatever reason. I don't know. I just want to make sure it's working. That's what it should on, just wanted to make sure it works. So, I guess you can start, but
Yeah, I can see it.
you can see it? Okay. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not working on my phone, I don't know why.
Is it?
Yeah.
So it works on your computer, the link?
Yeah, but you need to make sure everything's muted. Is your
I think it's
computer-
your thing that needs to be muted.
Paul has to mute, your computer has,
mic's not muted. If I mute this, I think it mutes everything. Let me mute this. Is that better? Does that sound
Is
better?
that better? Does that sound better? Oh, were you listening to it on the,
Were
oh,
you
you were
listening
listening
on
to
your
this?
phone?
Oh, you were talking about Primus.
I'm talking about Primus.
Oh, yeah, he's talking about something else. I know you're talking about this.
I'm worried if I mute this, it'll
Oh,
mute everything.
Were you guys playing something just now?
Okay, you go.
That's-
Yeah, Primus is supposed to sound like an acid trip. That's fair.
Yeah. That's too funny. Okay. I'll focus. I'm here.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm on Primus now. That's all I can think about.
I've been listening to Broadway musicals.
Oh,
last
okay.
month, so I'm gonna consider this as a musical. But like the Primus strips. Yeah, I mean it's the Fun Guy orchestra, so they can't. It's my opinion.
All right. Are you kicking us off, John, or?
It's just us.
Yeah, so there's 2 people online now.
Oh, there 2 people online now? Okay.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
all right.
Maybe the 2 are you.
No, it's me.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Let's just get started.
Okay.
Yeah, just get started.
Let's do it. All
I
right.
know I had some people interested that wanted to watch it online because they emailed me.
Okay. And people always watch it later, so.
Well, here, let me just say something quick.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right, we're gonna get started. We had a few technical difficulties. Welcome to Lunch and Learn. So today we're gonna talk about marketing. So some of you know that every week now we're gonna be doing a marketing study hall group therapy session where you can come in and work on your specific marketing plan and ideas. That is Wednesdays from 2 to 4, so we'll be doing that here in a couple of hours. But one of the things that happens or that's coming out is just kind of getting a baseline starting point for everyone. And so what we're doing is we're going back to the customer avatar and the one-page marketing plan for those people that aren't quite sure where to start. I think this is a great starting point for anyone in any company. It doesn't matter how big your company is. So I got Paul here from our marketing department, and he's going to lead the discussion today on the avatar, your customer avatar, and your one-page marketing plan. And then hopefully we'll see you guys at 2 o'clock, just right out in the open area to take this information and start developing your marketing plan. With that,
All right. I'm just gonna strip up here a little
It's up to
bit. Pardon me. All right. Well, since we're kind of a small group too, I just don't want to talk at you. I think that'd be kind of boring. So if you guys have questions or have comments to add, please interject if you want, and I'll throw some questions out to you as well. So this is a little more interactive and not so much a lecture. I don't want to do that. So like John said, we're going to talk about customer avatars and one-page marketing plans. So we'll go to the next slide. And along with that, we're going to talk about user segments. Once you create your customer avatars, it's easy to start grouping your potential customers, your customer groups together into what are called user segments. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more today. And then we're going to focus on kind of customer goals and problems, or sometimes they call them pain points. Just going over how you can use those goals and problems to group your customers together into different user segments. Okay, is that clear, everyone? So that's kind of what I want to cover, the agenda. It's a bunch of people. So user segments. Obviously, when you start a business, you don't want to try to target everybody. I talk to a lot of people and they say, or I ask them, you know, who's your target market? Who are you going after for your business? And they say, oh, everybody can use my product. And if you're going about it that way, I think you've missed the point maybe a little bit of what your product or service is meant for. I mean, there's definitely businesses out there that are trying to get everybody. And maybe a good example of that's like Google. Like everybody has some form of Google product, and Google integrates with everything in the world now. And there's so many different products, and I know for each individual product they definitely segment who their target markets are, and they market to them a different way. And they have different marketing departments for each, you know, different product that they're working on. But as a small business, we need to be really careful who we're marketing to and be really specific. So the reason for that is, we have limited time as small business owners, especially when it comes to marketing. That seems like the thing that gets thrown on the back burner first. Is the thing we don't want to do, and it takes a lot of time, and it's complicated and it's confusing sometimes. So the more specific we can be about figuring out who our users are, who our potential customers are, the better. And if we could just really focus on talking to them, speaking their language. I think another issue that business owners have is we maybe just don't understand who our customer is really well. We've sold our product maybe a few times. We've talked to some of our customers, but maybe they're not our ideal customer. I know sometimes in business we spend 80% of our time on 20% of our clients. They talk about the 80-20 rule when it comes to customer management. And so maybe if you're doing that, you're not focusing on the right customers too. So I think it's worthwhile to ask those kind of questions and make sure you're working with the clients you even want to work with. Sometimes we waste time, with people that are never going to buy from us, that are taking our time, making us stressed out. So I want to help you guys avoid that a little bit today, get over that. So any questions about user segments? And I think just as a hint for this, I guess, a user segment, you want to break people down into different demographics. And we're going to talk about that with the customer avatar a little bit more, but one of them could be age, gender, where they live is really important depending on what kind of product you're serving, where they spend time is really, really important. That's important when it comes to advertising and marketing. What their goals and problems are. We talked about that a little bit. So we're going to dive in on this next slide. I just like this. I found this online. I thought this was kind of cute. So this is like an idea of user segments. Like this is all your customers you've ever dealt with. There's like these different kinds, but you want to kind of break them out and find patterns and find commonalities with these customers. So a lot of us, our marketing and our messaging and everything is going to this kind of amalgamation of humans, and it gets really confusing for them. It's confusing for us. We don't know what our clear message is, but if we can divide people out and see what their lives are like, we can talk to them in their language and what makes them comfortable. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna do a customer avatar sheet. And I don't know if there's some sheets over here. I don't know if you guys, probably be helpful to do this with me. I'm gonna grab one too, so I have.
Is there one?
Yeah.
I've got some.
You got one, okay, excellent. Did you get one, JoJo?
No,
Would you like one?
yeah.
Okay. I can do mine. Okay. Then everyone online, if you're watching this later in time, if you just go to Google and search customer avatar, there's these kind of sheets out there that you can access for free.
And I also shared them.
Oh, did you on the email? Okay, excellent. So Monique sent those out as well. And if you have questions, you can email her, monique.james@slcc.edu. She can send you this sheet. But I just kind of want to go through one of these with you and kind of help you understand why this can be powerful. Typically when you do these, you want to do between 5 and 10 of them, I think is a good amount to do. And try to do it, for just different kind of customers that you have. So you're envisioning, when you're filling this out, the perfect customer. So this is the customer that buys from you every time. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, actually, I called people.
You called?
Just to ask them the questions.
Oh yeah, that's a really good idea.
It's a lot faster.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great hint. If you have a customer already and they're your perfect customer, call them and go through this worksheet with them. That's awesome. And since we're not going to have that luxury, I guess, right now, because we're in the middle of the class, if you want to after this, feel free to go out and run and call your best customer and ask them all these questions. And so when I fill this out, I like to get really, really specific. And this one I have on the screen here is a pretty good example. This one, they call them Agency Jimmy. They're obviously working in like a more of a B2B environment. He's age 40, he's male, married. He has 2 children, they're 8 and 10. Orlando, Florida is where he lives. So they go into this really, really specific. And so that's kind of what I want you guys to do today. So we're gonna go through these and I'm gonna talk you through kind of each part of it. Some of them are pretty obvious, but let's start. I think the first thing I like to do is I like to name this person, give them like a real name. Think of who your best customer is, and maybe you have an idea and they already have a name and a personality. So that's the first thing we're going to start out. And then age is the next one. And I like to be really specific with this too. I don't like to necessarily give a range, but I like to pick like, what's that age group? Or what's the age of this particular person, this specific person? So are they 42? Are they 6-year-old because you're selling a, so go ahead and fill that in. Gender. So what gender is this person specifically? Ethnicity. So what's your perfect customer's ethnicity? And then marital status. What is their marital status? Are they married? Are they divorced? That could be another, maybe that's part of your target market. You're reaching out to divorcees. Number and age of children. Are these people more established? Do they have kids? Do they have a lot of kids? If they're in Utah, they may have 5 or 6 kids or 7 kids, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And then location. Location, I think, is really important, especially if you're a brick and mortar. Obviously, they're going to live within, a specific range of your business. That'd actually be a good, as you're putting these together, trying to figure out what that location is. If you are a brick and mortar, like how far are people willing to travel to come see you? That'd be a really good question to answer. If they're living in like Salt Lake County, let's say, and your business is in Sandy where we are they going to come from, Magna? Are they going to drive from West Valley? Are they willing to do that to come visit your business? So where does this person live? And then there's this little like kind of box in the middle. So if you're feeling creative and artistic today, go ahead and draw your customer avatar. You can get a picture of them if you have a picture somewhere. But I don't know, I think it's a fun exercise just to kind of sketch them out and give them a lot of character. Okay, let's move to the next thing. So occupation. I think this starts getting really important if you're a B2B business. The occupation matters a lot because you're going to want to talk to whoever the decision makers are at the company. That's going to be really important. You're not going to want to talk to the low level, customer service people. They're not going to be the ones that are making decisions or making buying decisions necessarily. Job title. So are you selling a financial service? Do you need to talk to the CFO? Is that who your target is? Are you selling a marketing service? You need to talk to the CMO. Like who's this person that you need to talk to if it's a B2B? And then this works too for if you're not a B2B, if you're a B2C, especially the annual income might matter a lot. So do these people have enough money to purchase what you're selling? Really important to understand that. And then level of education. Sometimes we sell things that are a little harder to grasp or somebody needs a basic education to understand them. Sometimes we're selling something that's kind of for the masses. So understanding what the kind of the level of education for that customer is. And then I just put other here if there's any other things relating to their economic situation, if there's anything related to their job or their position in particular that you need to identify or that stands out with this person. So maybe an example of that is like they, I don't know, I don't actually have a good example. So we'll skip that one. Cool. Let's go over. I kind of like to go in like counterclockwise after this. So I like going up to goals and values next. I think this really helps you break down kind of the problems or the goals they have as customers and how you can help out with that. So this goal specifically, so if you have questions about that, it's like what their goal is in relation to your business and how you can help them, I guess, if that helps clarify that. So if they're wanting to get, a really good workout and get fit, then that would be your goal, and that can fit into how you are marketing to them. I don't know. Can you think of one for your business, Kevin? Like what a goal of the customer, like your ideal customer would be?
Would be to fit more time for entertainment, and she's always busy.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Squeeze as much as a stress reliever as possible.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have a goal too for yours?
One of mine, a gentleman, he's a commercial driver. He wants to retire in 10 years or less, and he wants to go back and live back in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, his values was God and family.
Awesome. That's perfect. Yeah, we might as well jump into the next one. Or Joe, did you have a goal for your ideal customer?
Yeah, just feeling more confident and having more of an abundant mindset.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so you talked about values already. So let's talk about values a little bit more. And those were perfect ones that you mentioned, God and family. I think for a lot of people, like that personal meaning and then like the connection they have with their loved ones and their community, that's like a really big value that a lot of your customers might share. And it might be worthwhile to kind of dive in a little bit deeper if you can, see if you can find values that are really specific to your target customer. So if you can think of something just a little, I don't know, a little more below the surface with that person, if you can set them apart a little more. Not to overly critique yours.
No,
sorry.
it was interesting because I have a few different ones and.
Oh, awesome.
But all of them were family, client integrity, caring for your clients,
Awesome. Yeah.
things like that.
Do you have specific values that you thought of for this?
Becoming more of a complete woman.
Okay. Cool. I don't know if you want to, I can call on you too.
Oh.
Or yeah.
Values, they want to see their employees succeed.
That's a really good one. Yeah. So employee success, I think that's really important, especially if you're a business owner and you're reaching out to that business owner. If you can support their employees or support the ecosystem that they've built in their corporation, that's perfect. I don't know. Do you have any values for yours, JoJo?
Yeah, just finding more balance in our life, finding more discipline, being more present, and harnessing their energy more wisely and more mindfully.
Awesome. Okay. Those are great. Adam, do you have something to say? Sorry, you looked at me like this. Okay.
Just very
Bless
much.
you.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the next section. I think this one is where it really gets specific on how you're going to start targeting these customer, avatars or these user segments that we're putting together. So this is where people get their sources of information. So I think yours will be pretty obvious because it's podcasts, right?
Yeah, fictitious.
Fictitious podcasts, yeah, for sure. So maybe just go through all of these for your person. So what kind of books are they reading? So if you're dealing with somebody that's kind of on the self-help thing, like kind of what are those books that they're really looking at? What are common, maybe themes within those books? Maybe they don't read books. That could be an interesting, if they're part of that user segment that doesn't read a lot of material like that. Magazines. So this example, he's reading Wired and Fast Company because he's, you know, a CEO. So he's trying to stay up to date on what's happening in the business world. So, and again, with this one, I think maybe magazines aren't as important to your users. So there's something to think about. Blogs and websites. So what blogs are they reading? Are they hanging out on specific websites a lot? I think you could and should include social media in this section. So Facebook, are they hanging out on Facebook? Are they that kind of user? Are they on Reddit? Are they on Twitter? So what kind of websites are they getting information from? Are they going to specific conferences? So if you're part of a specific industry that has conferences that happen, you know, quarterly or a couple times a year or something, what are those conferences? Where are these people hanging out there? And are there opportunities for you there? Are there influencers in that space that are, you know, that are big in that space that you can either, you know, leverage what they're doing? Maybe you can create partnerships with influencers to reach your target customer. Are there influencers that are doing maybe a bad job and kind of confusing your customers for you? I think I've seen that a few times where there's really popular influencers, but they don't have a really good take on the world and they confuse their people and add confusion. So if you can get in there and maybe create some order where there's confusion, there might be an opportunity there. I think we could add podcasts to this. I think that's really important since I don't know if you have statistics on podcasts, what the listenership for people is these days.
Depending on the category.
Does it? Okay.
It all depends on the category and where you're getting that information from.
Okay. But I know a lot of us are listening to podcasts. How many in here listen to podcasts? Yeah, I think we all do now. I think it's such a good way to consume information and
It's a lot of fun.
be connected to a cool community. Yeah.
Yeah, and still live your life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a passive way, I guess, to consume information. A lot of us are kind of multitasking when we do it. A lot of us that listen to podcasts are people that maybe think we're good at multitasking and aren't actually that good. So I would add podcasts to this list. Are there like any specific podcasts in that, you know, that they listen to on a regular basis? Okay, let's go to challenges and pain points. So what is this, customer avatar's challenge, especially when it relates to your, like something you can help them with, I guess,
So
framing it that way.
So their challenge as in like reaching them, or their challenge as in like they have a problem and we're trying to solve them?
That one, yeah. Yeah, trying to solve their pain point. This is kind of what we're hitting at here. Or I guess pain points is on there too, but these are a little bit interchangeable. So this example, he says, Jimmy is challenged with scaling his agency business, finding and training and retaining top marketing talent, keeping his marketing skills sharp while being a CEO. So those are some of his challenges he has. And his pain points are a little bit different. So he's fear of losing business to competitors, fear of agency falling behind the digital marketing scene. Those are kind of pain points. I think you could be a little more specific with those. And then hopefully as you're looking through this, you're like starting to understand, oh yeah, I have, things that can fix these goals and challenges, and you're relating to this customer a little bit more. And let's go to the next section. No, let's go back. Do you guys have any like challenges or pain points that you're specifically working through right now? I'll put that question out here.
My message.
Is it okay? It's messaging. Yeah, that's a really hard one.
Yeah.
And do you think your messaging is challenging because you're trying to talk to too many people at once, or is it just a complicated message to get out?
I didn't think so, but and it seems like people don't get what I'm saying. So when I say I help them build a strong foundation for business success,
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
getting what that means, and so I need to go into
Yeah.
different wording to help them.
Okay. I think something that could help you with that messaging is, I don't know if you've heard of this book, Simon Sinek, Start With Why. So if you can really, like, when you're explaining this messaging to people, talk about why you're doing this and get into that a little bit more, I think that could help explain it and then create a emotional attachment with them. So I think there's a lot of people doing that kind of in that space, and they're doing different aspects of it, but you can talk about like a specific pain point and why you're addressing that. I think that could be really helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know, do you think of any challenges or any
I
pain
have-
points for your people?
Oh, for my people?
Yeah.
Just a passive or a good source of a passive form of fiction
Oh, okay.
in their busy lives. So,
Yeah. It's like being able to entertain themselves while they're running from meeting to meeting or
meeting to meeting, they just have to go home, cook, they don't want to burn their chicken while watching something to babysit or look after for their child, walk your dog afterwards, exercise.
yeah. So it gives them a way that they can do those things at the same time, do the things they have to. That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
That a lot. I don't know. You wanna enter, or do you have challenges or pain points your customers
Yeah,
have?
just being overwhelmed with a lot of dopamine and stimulation, and then not just always being distracted and not getting things done that they want to get done. So kind of like addiction,
Okay,
I guess.
Yeah.
And
that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to this last one. I think this helps really close deals if you can understand this last section or close sales. So what is your customer avatar, this perfect person, if they've gone through this entire process with you and gotten all the messaging and all the marketing and they're basically on board, but what's their final objection to the sale? So what stops them at the very end of all of this process from actually purchasing from you? And that's something, sometimes we don't want to think about that one because it makes us a little sad. We're like, we put in all this work and they're still not wanting to buy from me, or why won't they give me their money?
It was interesting with the ones that I had talked to.
Yeah,
Most of them said kind of the same thing, is that they really want to look, so they want to do more research. They want to see the ROI, so
Oh,
the return
okay.
on investment
Okay.
and the quality, how it will affect them. The pricing. One says that they do research, they're slow to purchase.
Hmm.
And, so, that was interesting.
Yeah, those are interesting challenges. So it might be worth having kind of a strategy section of just around those challenges and see how you could overcome them. That's good information. I'm glad you got that. Yeah, and I would argue a lot of the time, sorry, this isn't related to you, but I was just thinking about this. If their objection to the sale is like a cost or a money thing, I would say that's usually not the real answer. I would say they're putting up some kind of barrier they're not saying something to you. Because they obviously have like a problem and they are interested in you because you solved that problem, but there's something else that's going on. It's usually not related to price. If they want something fixed, the price usually won't matter too much, as long as they can afford it and they're in the right, annual income economic situation. So just something to think about.
I think it's kind of an interesting thing too, because if you think about, like, if I make a banana keeper, but if 90% of people don't want a banana keeper, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you have to really, like, you might think it's an awesome idea, but a lot of times you have to know what you want to, like, you have to know what people want too. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? There's something about that as well.
I think so too. Yeah, making sure your product is viable and people actually
Touches
want it
those
and need.
points.
Did you look up what a banana maker was? Were you or a banana saver?
Yeah.
Like everyone
I know
watching
they
on
are.
YouTube is like,
I think everyone's bought one before, but they don't use them.
oh, okay.
They buy them because they think they're gonna use them.
So like those hangers?
There's a little hanger, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
I was racking my brain like.
I know.
Yeah,
Have
my
you tried
grandma
to use
used
one
to
of
make them.
those?
Huh?
Have Have you ever tried to use one? They're hard to use.
They are, because you can't get your bananas.
You can't get the banana. You might as well just, because you have to pick it up and then break it, and you gotta trim it and put it back on. It's like, why don't you just keep it in a bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's what, I put them in a bowl. They have that hanging.
But for some reason, somebody wanted them, they were able to touch the point,
Oh, yeah.
because I guess that's the thing, is
That's a
like,
novelty.
what's your touch point that gets you to buy that product?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is, I'm reading this book, it's called Delivering Happiness by Tony, I can't pronounce his last name. But he almost said no to Zappos, and it was back in 1999.
Was it Tony Shea?
Yeah, I think that's how you,
The former
It's
CEO.
like HS, it's spelled very
Yeah.
slow. Don't wanna butcher it.
R.I.P. I'm sorry, Tony.
Yeah, so yeah, but yeah, he said like no one's gonna buy shoes online because no one's gonna buy shoes without trying them on first.
Yeah.
And he almost hung up on the guy that was pitching the idea, but he was thinking to himself like, I don't want to do that, but others will. In fact, back in 1999, 5% of people who bought shoes were for magazines.
Oh.
Yeah, so like, fast forward 2009, they sold to Amazon for 1.2 billion.
Well, same thing with Uber though, right? And Uber completely stalled out of the gate. Same Airbnb did too. Airbnb didn't get anything for like 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
So they spent 6 months refining. So,
Same with Instagram, like,
they're all.
Yeah, because is it the product necessarily that you think people want, or is it, that's a good thought to me, is like, is it the product people want, or is it the way you pitch it to them?
We gotta ask, well, hopefully it's something they want.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Like it doesn't matter you, the founder, CEO, co-founder, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you want it, it's what your customers want.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you always have to put yourself in what Tony would say, their shoes. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's that part of trying to sell it too, because like the banana saver, I would never have thought of having a banana saver, but because somebody told me it would help my bananas, and they told me, you know, all that, then okay, yeah, maybe I'll buy it, it's cheap and whatever. But it's because I hadn't thought of it, you know, so there's all those elements in all of that.
I think also is, especially like with consultants and so forth, is we build the program
Yeah,
first.
you did,
And then we go out and try and sell it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of, I finally had somebody say, I don't build a program. She does marketing and that, and she'd go pitch and listen to what they need and say, oh, yes, I've got a program for that.
yeah.
And then they would go and hurry up and make it.
Oh, I like that approach actually.
Which
Yeah.
actually, you know, because that's really smart, because I mean, but most people, entrepreneurs come up with an idea that not everyone, you know, knows about, right?
Most
Most.
entrepreneurs.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, go sell something first before you put all this time into
Yeah, 'cause
it,
like-
and then see if it'll sell before you even put time
Yeah,
into
like
it. Yeah.
Dr. Carrie O'Neill that's here, she has a lot of information, but she wants to, like, she's like, oh, I need to teach this class because people are coming to me asking me for these classes specifically,
Yeah.
you know? So, you know, there's both sides of all of that, I think.
Yeah.
The innovative side and then
Yeah.
the answering the need,
That's awesome. Great input, guys.
the
Thank you.
desire.
yeah, of course.
I had something to say. I don't remember. Okay. No, you're good.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. That was awesome conversation. Sorry, let's jump. Well, last thing on here, let's jump in there. So, role in the purchase process. So this talks about what the customer actually has to, physically do to give you money. So talking about that kind of nitty gritty process, like, do you need to send them an invoice? Do they have to mail you a check? Are you taking a credit card? Are you, whatever the purchase, what cash? Are you taking a briefcase of cash in your business? So I think thinking about the role in the purchase process, like who this person is, how they usually spend their money, and trying to line it up to that and making it really easy for them. And I think a good example of this is for online stores. So since Amazon has become this, behemoth of online selling, right? So they sell every single thing you can possibly think of. I think you can buy houses on there now and
Oh yeah.
all kinds of stuff. But Then people who are selling a product, like let's say they set up a Shopify store or something, they set up their Shopify store and they build it in a way that's very different to what their usual customer is used to. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, Amazon has its layout. It has, the titles here that we can all imagine in our heads because we've been on there so much. The titles here, the images like over here. There's like the details over here. On the side's always the, buy now button and add to cart, add to my list if I'm not ready. So when you're creating like your store where people actually buy from you, try to make it comfortable for them, like something that they're used to. So copy.
And spend more time in the store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's not an accident to have Walmart, Target, any grocery store really, or a superstore to have milk at the back of the store because that's the most purchased thing. And if you spend more time at the store, you also subconsciously force the customer to shop in a counterclockwise motion around the store, and that actually boosts sales.
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking in a counterclockwise.
All your
motion.
essentials are
So
on the
you're gonna
outside.
spend $2 more on average, and also all the name brand expensive stuff is eye level, and all the stuff like candy is eye level for the children.
Mhm.
So,
That's a great example. So I think my whole point in all that is like, don't try to reinvent the wheel when you're getting them to your like actual point of sale. Just make it common, make it comfortable, make it something that they've felt like they've done a million times because it looks the same as other websites. Like, don't try to stand out in that way. You can stand out with your messaging and your product and your service and things, but don't try to with what works with sales. Don't go away from those principles. So I don't know. We kind of went through this a little bit quick, and I'd encourage you to do some of these on your own and then do, I forget your name, I'm sorry. Lisa. Yeah, do what Lisa said and actually take this to your actual customers and ask them these questions. Like, get this information instead of trying to make it up and like, think we understand our customer really well. Actually reach out to like our best customers and fill out this sheet with them. And I don't know, maybe you can incentivize them. Was it hard for them to do it for you?
No, I just asked them, I said, hey, I'm doing a marketing campaign and I'd love to work with, the people just like you. And so I'd love to ask you some questions. Some of them are personal,
Mhm.
and that, but it would really help me in my campaign, and all of them were very comfortable. So I went
Awesome.
just kind of exactly how you did. I went down the middle part, and then I went over to their goals and values before I hit their challenges, and then their processes and that. And it was very eye-opening because, first of all, some of them I talked, a couple of them I talked to. One gentleman he owns his own electrical company, just starting out. But when he told me that his annual income was $200,000, it's like, oh, dang. And I'm thinking that he's just probably, he's getting started, and but him and his wife work and on that, and so it was
Wow.
like interesting. So a lot of times you think startup companies have no money in that, and it's like, what, they're actually not doing too shabby. So that was an interest. And then a couple other ones were different. One is an employee for a cosmetology company, and so hers were a little different, but she's an influencer with the students. So it's kind of like, okay, I want to be able to target the influencers because they will direct students when students have questions in that, right?
Okay.
So if you're a teacher in that, then the student will come to you and say, hey, I'm having this problem, what do you think? And you say, hey, you need to check out Lisa or something like that. So using them more as a referral.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah. That's such a good idea. Thanks for giving me that idea for actually,
absolutely.
might as well just take this right to the customer. Who cares? Worst they say is no, right? So get real data that you can, know is actually true.
Yeah. Well, and then also
Super.
finding out, again, like we say, are there pain points? Now it's like one of them said, her biggest thing is energy and depression and work-life balance and that. And it's like, okay, let me look at a program.
Yeah.
So I can, same thing as, hey, you know what? I developed this program. You said that you were struggling with these problems. Let's go ahead and get you set up with this program.
Cool. Thanks, Lisa.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Oh, let's see, what time are we at? 12:40. Does this go till 1, John?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll move on. And hopefully, so as you do these, as you get 5 to 10 of these, or I mean, you could even do more if you want, you might start seeing, trends with your different users. And so that's when you can start breaking things out into different segments like we talked about earlier. That works, right?
Yeah.
Making noises at it.
Yeah.
There it goes. Okay, yeah. All right, so now we're gonna kind of move all this stuff that we just talked about into the one-page marketing plan. I don't know if you guys were here on last Wednesday, we went over this a little bit, but I think this avatar thing, these questions that we were asking, they go really well into this one-page marketing plan. It asks basically some of the same questions. So yeah, we got this from a book called The One-Page Marketing Plan by Alan Dibb. So if you're interested in learning more about that, that's that reference. This isn't my material, so just sharing it. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. So we start, there's 9 different points to this. And yeah, there's pages over here if you guys need them. I'm gonna grab one too to reference so I don't have to look at the screen. Does anyone else need one back here?
I'll take another one,
Okay.
just because I've written on this one.
Did you need one too? Yeah. You got one of these? You bet. Okay. So there's 9 parts to this one-page marketing plan. There's kind of the before section, which is up here. We're going to talk about that now. There's the during section, and then there's the after kind of section. So the before is kind of the prospecting. That's where you're doing all your marketing, where you're getting your messaging out there. So how I would kind of use this is I would take these avatars, put them into segments, so kind of commonalities among different avatars, and then I would group these, 4 or 5 segments that you come up with, and I'd kind of have them on each line and just kind of work through them with this. So who's your target market? You could probably name them, call them something fun so you can remember them. So you may have, I don't know, may have like the soccer moms and the, I don't know, maybe not trying to be derogatory or anything, but you're gonna have different groups, right? So identifying them, which we just did, and then my message to my target market. So that is going to be pretty easy because you're just going to look at whatever the goals and values of your customer avatars are and the challenges and pain points, and that's how you're going to kind of work in your messaging. So creating that, and that's something you're going to have to troubleshoot, definitely. Your messaging's you just have to test out a lot of different things and see what works. That's where different landing pages and different A/B testing on your emails and your websites can be really helpful just to nail down your messaging. And it might be a useful experience too to ask your customers what they think you are. Maybe have them help you create your message for you. Like ask them, what do you think I do? What do you think this business does? And if they're a little confused, that might be another sign that you need to, hyper-focus your messaging. Okay, and then number 3, the media that I will use to reach my target market. So this comes from, this section here, sources of information, okay? So where are they spending their time? If they're always on Facebook every day or Instagram, maybe that's what media you should use. I would say, I don't like traditional media that much for reaching out to customers. It's just so hard to know if you're getting an impact there. And there's definitely a benefit to using some forms of traditional media. When I say traditional media, I mean like radio, newspaper, television ads. I feel like there's a lot better way to track how your marketing's going than doing that. But I don't know. Anyway, I'll get off that. So any questions about these so far? I think it's pretty straightforward. There we go. Okay, and then this is the after part. This is after you've found these people after you've sent them your message and they've seen you on social media or Google or wherever they found you. So what is your lead capture system? I think, are we talking about HubSpot today?
Yes, we're gonna talk about HubSpot.
Okay.
Yeah, so just quickly, at 2:00 when we start our marketing work group, we're gonna have a brief introduction to HubSpot and by Matt. I think he's ready to do that today. And
Hope so.
so HubSpot is basically, tell them what HubSpot is.
Yeah. So HubSpot it helps you do all of these kind of lead capturing and nurturing things. It's a CRM basically that has marketing tools built in. You can send automated emails and texts.
And you get a 90% discount when you're part
Yeah.
of it.
So it's a really good way. I'm sure we've talked about it to you all before, but it could be a great way to capture your leads. You can, create forms off of your social media or intake forms on your website. So just think about how you're capturing those leads, how this customer avatar really wants to be engaged with. Like some people won't be comfortable putting their information into a form on a website, like makes them creeped out or they're worried you're gonna sell their information. So make sure it's really transparent and you're being secure about their information. Make sure you're also providing a win-win when you're capturing the lead. Like if you can offer them something for their information, it just makes it a lot easier. Lead nurturing system. So this is where you get into the email and your text marketing. Sales conversion strategy. So this, you can pull this right from the objections to the role in the process from your customer avatar. So what are their objections to the sale? So you should have already kind of worked that out. And then what's the purchasing process? Like how do they actually buy from you?
I was to say over on the lead capturing, I'm noticing that more and more like groups or whether in Instagram or Facebook and that, to join the group, with the questions now, they're asking now for your email.
Oh, okay.
So they're using it as their only, capture. Instead of just, hey, join the group and we're so excited to have you. Now they're asking to join, that you need your email and, like two other questions or whatever, and then they'll send you something.
Okay.
But I noticed that's
That's
now
becoming
being
common.
added, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like every day we're like having to give our email away a lot of times. I know my email, the amount of email I get every day is like growing and growing and growing all the time. Which I highly recommend a program called Unroll Me. It's like unroll.me, and it's a system that can it like browses your inbox, and you can prioritize what you want to go to your inbox, and then it creates like a daily roundup of all your marketing kind of emails that you receive. Highly recommend that. It saves a lot of time. So if you're looking for something to clean up your inbox, a little off topic, but let's see. Let's go to the next thing. Oh, and I was also thinking for lead capture, another way I've seen work really well still is holding events. I think people, especially now, are like really seeking human interaction and one-on-one contact. And so if you can create classes or, kind of training sessions around what you do, and kind of give away like 80 or 90% of the secret sauce to keep that like 10% for you that you can sell later. That's a really good way to engage and get new leads. So if you're looking for a different way to do that, I've always had success with that.
Is it still like a good strategy that, I don't know if it's old school or not, so that's why I'm checking,
Yeah.
to like offer like a free software, like a crippled version or something, either software, is that still, I mean, I don't know if that's gotten where people are like, no, I'm not doing that, we've been burned too many times, or.
I don't think, I still do. I don't know, do you guys still get free freemium kind of software that has upgrades and stuff? I think we all kind of do. I think it depends on what the industry is, and that might be a good question for your customer avatar that we talked about earlier. Reach out to
That
like,
is a good question, yeah.
reach out to
Still
your
being
perfect
used, that's
customer.
for sure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
still
it is.
Being used. There's still
I mean,
get you software out there.
Yeah,
I like free things, I just don't like them too crippled,
yeah,
why
Yeah, and sometimes that pisses you off.
exactly.
You're like, oh, well, why even take this if it's not gonna do anything for me?
or if it's just gonna be more of a nuisance.
Yeah.
Right, because you're not sure where it's gonna stop working. At what point, or number of transactions?
I like the freemium models that give you full access for like 30 days.
Yeah, that's a lot more
like
transparent than
It allows
cutting
you-
you
That's kind
off.
of what I'm wondering, is, like, if it goes slower or something, that would really be annoying.
Yeah,
Well, I like it, like you say, that you have the full, and then after 30 days, it allows you to still have the free. So you don't lose the information, you just don't have all the access,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
Then the other ones where it's $1 for the first, 2 or 3 months. So that you get up and using it, you've got everything in, and then they're saying, hey, you can continue with this amount as a free service, right? But if you still want to have all of the components, then it's the upgrade.
Yeah.
There's also ad-supported plans where you get
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
the whole thing, but like there's ads, pop-ups. Sometimes they're annoying, but it'll tell you like if you don't want these ads, you can always upgrade and pay money for it. People really don't like ads.
Yeah.
You know?
That's pretty common in podcasting, right? You're like, oh, you can subscribe to my free, ad-free podcast on yeah, whatever. Patreon, that's what I was gonna say.
out there now.
Yeah, no, that was a good question. I can't remember. Oh, you asked the question. Yeah, thank you. Let's see, we'll go to the last one, so I think we're running out of time here a little bit. Okay. So we didn't really talk about this with the customer avatar. This goes a little bit beyond the understanding your customer and closing the sale to some degree. I think some of it, you got to understand your customer pretty well, but so the 7th thing, how do I deliver world-class experience? So after this person is bought from me, how do I make sure that their experience is smooth, that they're not getting, bugs in the software that they got, or how do I just make it really pleasant to work with you? So thinking about that, that could tie into their goals and values, I guess, on the customer avatar. Definitely work into their challenges and pain points. You don't want to make your, solution add to their problems and challenges that they have. How to increase customer lifetime value. It's number 8. So do you have a strategy for re-engaging these customers, to getting them to buy from you over and over and over again? That's something that a CRM like HubSpot can really help do. I think you need to just constantly communicate with them and educate them. We all know it's a lot cheaper to keep a customer than trying to find new ones. I don't know what the data is on that now. I know I've heard different numbers, but we'll say it's 7 times more expensive to get a new customer than to keep one.
Well, it's probably in the teens.
Yeah, it might be, huh?
Still in the 10 to 12 range, probably.
Yeah, and it's not just money. I don't think it's time, and you have to rethink your marketing strategies. So if you can just keep people that you've already worked with on the line and keep them buying from you, that's so much better, so much easier. And sometimes we're bad at that. I think we make a sale and then we're like, yes, I'm done, got money, and then it's not like that at all. Then how do I orchestrate and stimulate referrals? So I know in a lot of businesses, referrals are going to be kind of the number one way that you get new kind of qualified leads to your business. So do you have a strategy for that? And how can you kind of tap into this profile of this customer avatar to do that? And I think the easiest way to do that, just to get referrals, is just to ask. A lot of us just don't even go that far. We don't think to do it, but that's another really inexpensive way to generate new leads. And they're usually ones that want to buy from you, and it's an easier process to close it. So anyway, you all have this page, so just kind of go through this over the next week, I would say, and start really thinking out your marketing plan, like how you touch each of these steps and how it relates to these customers that you're starting to understand now. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to John or Monique or myself. We're around here to help with this kind of stuff. We want you guys to make lots of money and be really successful. So. Okay, there it goes. I gotta make the sound. It doesn't work right now. This is my last slide. So I just wanted to talk about this thing that we all do. It's kind of wired into us. It's called the sunk cost fallacy. I don't know, someone want to read the comic for me? Someone a good actor?
I'll do it.
Yeah, you do it, Kevin. Thank you.
Let's see.
Can you read that from there?
No, I'm
You can
trying-
come up here if you want, or it's behind you too.
Oh, that works. Let's get out of here. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. I think I'd rather stick it out. These tickets cost me an arm and a leg. How's that?
That was great. That was really good. Thank you. We should clap.
Oh.
Thank you, Kevin.
So what does that mean?
He actually got his arm and leg cut off. That's fine.
I know, yeah. It's kind of a stupid comic, but I think it proves a really good point that sometimes we put a ton of time and effort and mental energy or whatever into something, and it just doesn't work, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work. And we have this tendency as human beings to keep like bashing our heads against things, even if it's not going to be successful. So I think as you go about, marketing to your customers, if things don't work, well, let's just go through the list. So invest in only what matters most, okay? So if your customers are hanging out, mostly on Instagram, don't spend a ton of time trying to learn Twitter or TikTok, or don't waste time on things that aren't going to matter. Master the art of little bets. So take, a small time period, a small amount of money, just a small chunk of your energy, put it into something and see how it goes. But after that, don't, waste a lot of time on it if it's not going to work. Be quick to drop things that don't work. So that again. And then just kind of, the explanation, that's the definition. Refusing to abandon something unrewarding because you've already invested in it. So that's the kind of the definition of sunk cost fallacies.
I think sometimes the sunk cost fallacy is ourselves. And what I mean by that is that we buy something and say, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do this, like build the website because it'll be less expensive. And you spend so much time because you're refusing because it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, instead of turning around and paying somebody, because you know that if you pay somebody, it's gonna cost you twice as much because you didn't go to them in the first place and doing it.
Yeah. And then we get stubborn and we don't want to, I don't know, we double down on our stubbornness. So just kind of a warning for all of you. And I think this is a good principle to understand as an entrepreneur too. Like sometimes we got to pivot and change and not waste our time. Our lives are short and our time's very limited. So make the most of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's the Greek tragedy of hubris. So,
Yeah.
just gotta swallow our pride sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not always right. So. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you all coming to this today.
All right, thanks, Paul. And again, this is just a really good starting point and to start organizing your marketing and your marketing strategy. So what we're going to do now is at 2:00, we're going to meet out for our weekly marketing strategy, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit about HubSpot and we can start putting that all together. One thing that I wanted to, and I know you brought up a little bit with HubSpot and kind of a teaser to get into what we're doing at 2:00, but HubSpot will allow you to, as you looked at the one-page marketing plan, you can go to the very first.
That one.
Yeah, so you can, using HubSpot, you can have a bunch of target markets, you can have a bunch of messages, and you can have a bunch of delivery mechanisms, and you can actually mix and match in one or the other in HubSpot. Because when Paul talked about do small batches and do things simple first, you can really start testing different messages to different market segments and to different, with different vehicles. And you use HubSpot to manage that, so it's all kind of magically happens. And I'll just give you one more quick little example, and maybe Matt will bring it up. But Matt was emailing to, and I'll probably butcher his what happened, but he was emailing to, he's got a company that deals with youth sports, and so one of his target audience is high school sport or athletic teachers and coaches. And he emailed he had these target markets as different coaches, women's volleyball, 10th grade football, whatever. He had these down, the messages, and then the vehicle he was using. In this instance, he was using email. What he found out was one of the messages that he used had a couple of keywords in there that the USHE, which governs the state higher ed, would capture as spam. And those emails were going into spam folder and not getting to the target market. He was able to use HubSpot to manage that and figure out that keywords didn't work. So he was able to go in, modify the keyword, and they magically started getting leads. So anyways, join us at 2 o'clock for HubSpot. And great to see you guys. Get back to work.
Golfers.